Mercedes have it wrong once again, this time with a completely redesigned car and a new philosophy. The German manufacturer had entered the year expecting that this huge design overhaul would enable them to reduce the gap on pacesetter Red Bull. However, drivers George Russell and Lewis Hamilton have suffered a difficult opening 2 races of the season with an obvious weakness in their cars being shown. And the result of this? Both drivers smashing Mercedes for building yet another truck. Are they doomed for the rest of this regulation era? In other words, will this mean they won't win another race until at least 2026? Lewis Hamilton says he felt in a different category at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and believes the team haven't made big enough changes. He stated Mercedes has to make big changes to their car after a challenging Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in which he finished 9th. Without these big changes, the season will feel even longer than last one, especially since Mercedes hyped up their overhaul over the winter, promising the fans better results. The car is relatively good in the low speed and not so bad in the medium, but in the high speed we are miles off, claimed the Briton. It was like I was in a different category when I was going through the high speed compared to the other guys around me. It's frustrated for sure to be, for 3 years in a row, to almost be in the same position. It's definitely tough, but we'll get our heads down and keep working away. I know everyone back at the factory is pushing as hard as they can. But we definitely need to make some big changes. We haven't made big enough changes, perhaps. If you look at the 3 teams ahead of us, they still have a different concept to where we are in some areas. So we have some performance to add, that's for sure. When the safety car appeared during the race, Mercedes chose to split the strategy between their drivers. But the gamble failed for Lewis, who was left on the circuit with medium tyres. I think it was worth trying something different, splitting the cars and trying the different strategies. Ultimately, that's always the goal, to try and do something a little bit different, particularly when we are in the position we are in. I was fighting as hard as I could to go long and I was hoping for a safety car or something, but was just unfortunate, Hamilton went on to say. Lewis Hamilton also revealed what Mercedes has to do and upgrade on their car to put themselves in the fight following a challenging Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was visibly dissatisfied with the W15's current performance, but he did point out some positives about the vehicle. "I wouldn't say I'm having fun," the Briton said. "I'm racing for 9th, I can't say that. Finishing 9th is definitely not fun. I am enjoying the actual racing part and I was hunting and I was pushing as much as I could. I was maximising everything I had with the car, was right on the edge but unfortunately just really lacking performance in the high speed where we're all over us. But there are positives. The car is good in low speed. We have got some areas that we have to add a lot of load in the high speed. I think if we are able to do that, then I think it puts us in the fight," Hamilton concluded. And as said, Hamilton wasn't the only one complaining about Mercedes' performance as following his 6th place result in the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. George Russell feels Mercedes is getting slower rather than rivaling Formula 1 teams getting faster during race weekends. Russell was 2nd quickest in FP2 with the Mercedes W15 at the Jeddah Street circuit before qualifying in 7th, although he only improved 1 spot throughout the 50-lap race. That position came as a result of Lando Norris dropping to 8th after running out of sync, the McLaren driver having stayed out for a longer first stint, while others benefited from an early safety car. Russell compared the race weekend to Bahrain's season opener. Teammate Lewis Hamilton led a 1-on-2 in FP2. While Russell qualified 3rd and finished 5th in the Grand Prix. However, rather than this slide back being due to other teams improving as the round progresses, Russell has ascribed it to Mercedes getting slower over the sessions. "We're still really trying to understand this car because we have shown true performance at points over the last 2 weekends," Russell went on to say. "FP1, straight out of the box, we were top of the timesheets and always in the top 3. FP2, P2. Then, both weekends. The pace just falling away from us. That hasn't been our competitors getting faster, that's been us getting slower. So we need to understand why that is. But it's fine margins now. It's so close with ourselves, McLaren, Aston, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, is just a smidge ahead. We just need to tap into it a bit more." Russell and Hamilton had complained about their cars bouncing all weekend, although the former believed the troubles for the W15 were more general. "I think there's more to it," when asked about the primary cause of the performance drop-off. "It's so complex these days, these cars are so complicated." When you couple that with the tyres are very difficult as well. Right now, I don't have the answers. Unfortunately for Russell, Hamilton and Mercedes fans, there is more bad news. As team boss Toto Wolff claims that the team does not completely understand what is going wrong in high-speed corners, since its real-world performance does not match what the data reveals. In other words, the team are also unaware of what's going wrong at the moment. There is something which we don't understand, he said. We are quick everywhere else pretty much. We know that we have a smaller rear wing, we're compensating what we're losing through the corners, but it's just at high speed where we're losing all the lap time. He refuted suggestions that Mercedes had been overconfident that they had taken the correct measures with the 2024 car. I think we had so many unknowns in the last year where we start, okay, this could be a reason, and this could be a reason, and this could be a reason, and we fixed that, he said. I can see from the sensors that we have what we needed. But there is still this behavior of the car in a certain speed range that the sensors and simulations say this is where we should have the downforce, and we are not having it. This team has not been overconfident. We were probably the other way around and see the glass half empty always. That is the attitude to fix it. Wolff added that the problem is more than just a setup issue, as he believes there is something inherent in the car's concept that isn't working. Again. I think that's a biggie, he said. There's only so much you can tune here. Our simulations point us in a direction, and this is the kind of setup range that we then choose, where you put the right rear wing on. I think you'll gain a few tenths or not if you get the setup right or wrong, but there's not a massive corridor of performance. It's more a fundamental thing, that we believe that the speed should be there. We measure the downforce, but we don't find it in lap time. The challenges with the W15 have raised the potential of Mercedes facing a third straight year of chasing problems, following its struggles with the new ground effect cars in the previous 2 seasons. What do you think? Will Mercedes ever have a chance of winning a race this season? Wolff seems to think things aren't as bad as it seems and is planning for a big revenge in Australia. But will they be able to regain themselves down under? Wolff is certain that the squad is in a different place right now and that it will swiftly figure out what went wrong. It's been 2 years that there is something we need to spot, and that's the thing to unlock, he went on to say. We have just got to work. It's not through lack of trying. We've pushed so hard and we're going to give it a massive go now in the next week with more data to understand. We are going to come back to Melbourne strong. We are on a mission on this one. And I am 100% sure that we are going to unlock that performance gap. But what does come back stronger mean? Being able to fight for pole, or perhaps the win? Or being able to challenge for the last podium place? Or just being better than last race? Toto seems to be positive about the next race, so I guess we as F1 fans should be as well. What are you expecting to see happening in Australia?